All right, honey, take us away. What are we doing here?
We're talking about Mamdani meeting with Trump.
Yeah, basically, the Maestro Mamdani went in there and just completely wowed everybody today with the fantastic meeting, the top-notch meeting they had together. They both loved each other. New York's gonna be the greatest it's ever been. It's gonna be great again for sure. Maybe better. We don't know.
hmm I wonder if this is common for a mayor-elect to be president. It can't be common.
Maybe not this soon, right away, for sure. But like a mayor of New York City definitely will meet with the president. That's pretty common. But like, yeah, you're right. A mayor elect when the current mayor is still in office probably might be unheard of, honestly.
Yeah, so yesterday he told me that he's going to be meeting with Donnie today, and I got really excited because I was like, oh my God, I bet they're going to do it with cameras. I wonder how it's going to go. Um, what are we looking at, honey? Tell people if they watch this.
White House press corps is there muted, just sitting quietly outside. I think they assumed that Mamdani would exit the White House and then come out through the front, and they would get him for an on-the-site press meeting. And camera guy's zooming in, doesn't know what's happening on the paper. And you can tell the guy's on the radio and he's talking to somebody. And what they're finding out is that they're actually going to do the press interview together inside the White House, which I think everybody was completely shocked by and did not expect.
Yeah, I that hadn't occurred to me until you said it. Even the banner says like they're waiting for Mamdani, so they're waiting for him to come. So at some point, these people get word they're gonna do it jointly together, which is a big deal, right? I mean, it's signaling unity when the president meets in the Oval Office with some other leader.
Well, yeah, I think most people on the surface were like, yeah, they're gonna have some meeting, something's gonna get talked about, Mamdani's gonna leave, we'll get a chance to grab Mamdani outside, right? I don't think anybody thought it was gonna go well enough that we would we would have this meeting inside the White House, which is gonna pop up here in about 30 seconds. So maybe we still have a little more time to get some additional feedback. But this was the most surprising part to me, right? Is like they're outside waiting for him. And then all of a sudden it jumps to them going inside. And they just apparently love each other and have the greatest meeting of all time.
I freaking knew it. I knew they would do. I knew Trump is like a star chaser. You know, Mamdani's hot right now. People are talking about him.
Oh, that Mamdani.
He's a winner. He loves winners.
That Mamdani is so hot right now.
I'm like, this meeting is going to be televised.
This is breaking news from Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Coming on the air with some breaking news. You are looking at live pictures right now out of the White House. You can see President Trump right there as our cameras settle down, and you can see New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani standing there with him. The two have just met.
Thank you very much. We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people, starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat them easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built, and food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York. And we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's still sticking to his narrative that prices are coming down and I'm so good for inflation, even though like all of like the indicators that we even have available anymore, since the federal government doesn't want to track like price indexes on certain things. He's reversed on tariffs, coffee, beef, all this stuff that used to be imported really easily. He's removing tariffs now to help bring the cost down on that stuff.
Right. So he started imposing tariffs, and the way tariffs work is like the consumer pays it. It's not like the other country is importing stuff into the United States is paying higher dollar amounts. It's that their goods are now more expensive to people. But it's the opposite of affordability. It's making things more expensive for no reason.
Yeah, and the stark crazy contrast here, right, is that Trump on election night was talking about withholding funds for New York and like all of this crazy shit, and then now we get here to this meeting and it's going pretty well.
People, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year. So that's good for New York. Good for
I will say that, while Trump is sitting here, like, just kind of listing out the things we think are bullshit, Mamdani's just like,
Neutral.
yeah, he's just,
not even.
he's like, I didn't come here for that. I'm not going to engage in that. Like, I got a good meeting. I got the things that I needed to get done. And I'm going to move forward with those wins and, like, not correct the president on national TV.
This is like, actually, I don't know if he'll be effective in doing this, but finding common ground with your political enemy looks like this. It's not reaching across the aisle to cut tax breaks for billionaires. It's this, right? If you can stroke someone's ego into helping you build some affordable housing, if that's even, I don't know if that's, whatever, then that's actually reaching across the aisle for something that makes sense.
I mean, I'm just impressed by, at the end of this, I mean, I'll talk about it more, but Mamdani is just, like, impressed me as a statesman and, like, handling this well as a politician.
But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I will say there's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything, and we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true. Having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president. And
I will also say that, right, Trump's coming off the worst week he's maybe had in his second term, right? It's been Epstein files, release the Epstein files, House and Senate rush it through. Schumer got that vote done in the Senate very quickly to, like, get the video out as quick, or get the video, we get the files out, or get it back to the president as quickly as possible. And Trump's like, he did exactly what I asked for, I have to sign it, and now it's all anyone's been talking about. So he's had the worst week he's probably had in a while. And it's like, he goes, oh, this beautiful young mayor from New York City just flew into D.C. to see me, and he's being nice to me, and he wants to, like, just talk about making New York better. And it's, like, fucking hilarious, but also just, like, the timing of it all is just...
To add on to your point, people like Nick Fuentes are saying MAGA's dead. So he's seeing, I think, some of his own supporters maybe turn on him slowly. So the fact that he's getting love from somebody right now is welcome and needed by him, I think, on a personal and political level more than ever.
Yeah, especially the personal level. He goes, oh, this nice young man wants my help to make New York better. I like New York. Wow.
it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president, I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
Thank you very much.
You said a nice thing about me.
Just what a nice young man.
He enjoyed meeting with me.
Mr. Mamdani is a communist. Can you describe why you feel that?
Yeah, you can't really hear the reporters. They're not on the microphone.
What's the question?
From arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York.
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question,
Really
and on
don't
your
know the
first
question.
part, I mean, he's
Yeah, I
got
would
views
have
and
I would have to turn
out there,
everything
but
up really
who
loud.
knows? I mean, we're
We
going to
just
see
wind up- we just-
what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. It's now
That's about how
quite a
things
while
change,
ago.
right?
It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you, some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he's going to be. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like him.
Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are, many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please. Good.
I would like to ask you a question about the
This is a nice little moment.
Sure.
It's nice, you know.
that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not
It's like he could be a very affable person if he wasn't such a piece of shit and didn't surround himself with ghouls like Stephen Miller that are immiserating thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. Like, they are doing a lot of evil shit, and not lose sight of that. But if only he had just been like a famous Hollywood guy instead of a politician, we would like him.
Well, and it's like, you got to imagine all the sycophantic ghouls he surrounds himself with. Like, what are they saying today? They're like, what the fuck is this shit? What the fuck?
Stephen Miller's having a fucking brain aneurysm somewhere.
Well, I mean, the Republicans in the House today called for a resolution to get reviewed. Yeah, that led to, like, what was the vote total? Yeah, 285, nay 98. Like 86 Democrats voted with the Republicans to denounce the horrors of socialism. And it's like, they did this today because they knew Mamdani was visiting, right? And everybody's, we better affirm this, do this symbolic vote that has no legal bearing on anything. And then he comes to the White House and he wows Trump so amazingly that Trump decides, I really like this guy. He's a real go-getter, this Mamdani.
Oh my god, yeah, but
He's really getting out there, and he's trying to make New York better. And I like New York too. You know, I grew up in New York. Me and my family had a lot of business in New York.
what was the story you told that, like, he told him about a cafe that his grandpa used to go to? What is that?
I heard of the news today when I was watching this that Mamdani visited a pharmacy in Queens, and when he went to visit the president today in their private meeting, he goes, yeah, you know, the pharmacy that I use routinely for, you know, this thing, or my mother uses for her thing or whatever, apparently your grandfather also used this pharmacy, you know, like, so he made a mutual connection based upon the neighborhood that he represented and Trump's history with New York City, you know, like, really, like, just true craftsmanship as a statesman, like, just like fucking, like, really crush this meeting. Fucking dude is going places.
But it's also just like, it's also spiritual in a sense, because it's like finding common ground with literally the worst person. Like, you can find common ground with anyone. There is something. He's connecting with him on his grandfather, some memory he's locking into as a child, right? This was your point to me earlier today. This is good psychology.
Mamdani's transition staff probably researched this meeting for a week and came up with like his like consolidated talking points of what he needed to talk about in this meeting. Like, they were well prepared for this.
I think so.
And they came out of it looking like, we're great. Trump's behind us. He wants New York to win again. Like, everything is going perfectly right now for Mamdani. Do I think this will stick long term?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, that's hard to say, and it probably won't. There's going to be something that happens, and Mamdani's hands are going to be tied, and he's going to have to condemn what the president's doing. Like,
Well, he's going to continue to condemn him.
Well, they can't be kumbaya forever. But the fact that this meeting went as positively as it did, with them expecting him to walk out through the front doors. Oh wait, we have an internal press conference together in the Oval Office.
It's just good politics. I feel like for Mamdani's long-term longevity as a politician, it's good, because now what you're gonna have, maybe the Zoomers are off of Trump already. I don't know what the Zoomer MAGA base is doing now. I don't know if they're still with him, but I think the older people that are still with him are gonna look at him standing next to this guy smiling at him, and they're gonna go, okay, I guess this guy's not so bad. So they're just gonna have a net favorable opinion of this guy.
Yeah, he can't be an evil jihadist with this set of things going on.
Yeah, and also maybe they'll think that when they hear this guy talking later, you know, they're not going to see him as some scary socialist or whatever. They're going to maybe connect with what he's saying.
Maybe Mamdani's okay. You know, that black-haired Mamdani from New York City.
Position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, like, what do you say for the Lebanese today? It's in the independent state of Lebanon. And what is your next move to push toward disarmament?
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that, not even close. If you go to 2 trillion or 1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or 21 trillion dollars.
So many trillions of dollars.
I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East, and we actually have now, for the first time, peace in the Middle East after 3,000 years. And now we're going to refine it, and I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
There is a potential to invite the Lebanese president.
Oh, sure. Oh, I would do that, absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East. I think
We desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again two major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever.
Yeah, another example of Mamdani pulling in what he's been doing and tying it into Trump, right? But yeah, I asked your voters, for days out on the street why they supported you, and they've always talked about affordability.
To the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
He said a lot of my voters actually voted for him.
1 in 10.
1 in 10.
And I'm okay with that.
He knows the stat.
I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please.
You threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani, you called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out. And I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out, maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
Yeah, two questions, if I may. One for you, Mr. President, from BBC in a second. But first of all, for the mayor-elect. You're both from different parts of the political spectrum. You're both populists, though. And I just wondered to what extent the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media use inspired any part of your campaign?
Well, I actually told the president that, so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often, politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about, as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak about cost of living. We focus on that same cost of living, and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices, because, we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison. And we're going to have to talk to them. If we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering their rates.
Absolutely.
And if I may, last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue BBC for up to $5 billion. You're going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine person, and You know, I think they have some big energy problems. You know, they've got windmills all over the place. They're going to have to start using other methods because their energy is out of control. Talking about in the UK, it's out of control. And he's got that problem. He's got a big immigration problem, as you know, and he's got a big energy problem. And we talk about it. He's a good man. Prime Minister's a good man.
You had a chance to speak this week.
I haven't spoken this week.
Mr. President, have you spoken to President Zelensky, or do you intend to
Who?
speak to President Zelensky about your plan?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible what's happening. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president, and it's a shame. And I thought they should have acted quicker. But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy-producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely. Yeah, we have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. It's so sad, so many people. You know, last month they lost 25,000 soldiers. This is something, we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. They're averaging 6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers. And it goes on, and I think they're
I just want to see like how he
close, but
lets him go.
I don't want to predict.
They got to get back on topic here, right?
They did
You talk about
8
foreign policy.
peace deals of countries, including in India, Pakistan. You could even go. In fact, they're coming here in a week or two. Go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that. But so many, and the one I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker. But it does take two to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, you know, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people that really, it's on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25. Think of that, 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian, and it's a shame.
What happens if President? I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership, and the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing...
Condemn socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay, you can just say
okay.
yes.
Okay.
It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And Mr. President, I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that this deal...
You mean he doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of
Well,
tenuous.
he'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then, you know, they should just keep fighting, I guess, you know.
The suggestion that you made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine. Is that
Well, at some
accurate?
point, he's going to have to accept something, you know. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. I would have never, this war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too if you had the right president, but you didn't have the right president.
Mr. President, cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on.
Right.
Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem?
Well, you didn't have any other content prepared.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign, was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics, so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
You know, we had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost, you know, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. You know, it's sort of an old-fashioned word, but it's very accurate. And they're coming down high. They were, you know, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under the Biden administration. And we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something?
Yes, President, thank you so much. Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law. Doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms of it could be covered by international law, local law. It's covered by a lot of laws, but it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that
That's so yesterday.
No, I don't know. Would you want to? Do you want to respond?
Yeah, I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about, and something that I know many New Yorkers want. We discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and most recently we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
What we did is we discussed crime. More than ICE per se, we discussed crime. And he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime. And I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And you know, we actually people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
I mean, we have to talk about the fact that he's like, Mr. Trump, I want to build hundreds of thousands of affordable housing units in New York City. You're a builder. Why don't you somehow give us some insight into your building pedigree? You know, like that had to have been part of the private conversation. He's enticing this man that needs to have his ass kissed and be enticed. And he's like, do the right thing. Help me build housing. I win, you win, right? That had to be, in a much more poetic sense, part of the conversation, right?
Was Trump's dad a builder?
Yeah, Trump inherited this whole, like, notion. Yeah.
He's probably, exactly like you said, he's probably like, you know, I know that you have a passion for real estate. I know your father, like, built his, you know, empire on real estate. What we're trying to do is we are trying to build in New York. Buildings go up. We want them to be affordable. We want in those buildings, big, beautiful buildings. Like, I like building.
Well, I mean, so since the pandemic, right, this continues to be a problem for most major cities. So many of the buildings that are in the downtown areas of major cities are like commercial office space rentals, many of which are still sitting vacant since the pandemic, right? Because everyone kind of adapted to this work at home model. Everybody has internet, everybody has a computer. You no longer need to go physically sit in an office to be productive during the workday. And a lot of offices are still vacant because of that reason. In New York City, that is still the case. So it's like you have this issue where you have all these vacant commercial buildings. Nobody's renting them anymore because it's just an overhead expense. No business wants to go in and just have to occupy space just to occupy it. So it's like you have all this wasted space now in major cities. Why not put affordable housing into those units, right?
So true.
You know, we get into the weeds about how you need to like tear the building down. It's more costly to renovate a building than it is to build something new from scratch.
Why do you have to tear it down?
It's more expensive to build.
You need bathrooms and showers everywhere.
It's more expensive to rebuild a building and keep the same infrastructure than it is just to build a brand new building. So for the most part, it's like, yeah, you kind of need developers to come in and buy up a building at almost market price and then tear it down and turn it into something.
Zohran there to get federal funding.
I mean,
is that why he's there?
I mean, he's definitely trying to like make sure that his mayoralship starts out really strong, and I think he's definitely doing that.
Kathy Hochul's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
And she's watching this.
That's right. No, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people expected this to go really poorly, especially the press that was standing in front of the White House, but it didn't. Like everybody's a little shocked about this right now. That's why it's worth recording and talking about. It's juicy. Oh my god. There's parts that are boring on it, but we just have to watch it. It's part of the process.
The anti-Israel protesters.
Jack?
Yeah, no, what he did took guts, and he came out of it with that. Like, it's like, I respect the fuck out of it.
A number of times about it on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability.
What we did is we discussed crime. More than
See, that's
ICE
I
per
backed
se,
it up
we
way too
discussed
far.
crime. And
Burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also
Gotcha,
noticed
you're trying to tax
in your
white
acceptance
people
speech you
more.
didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in
But
our
to be
city.
clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
That's what you said.
no, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters just targeted
Please, God.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned about Jewish New Yorkers feeling welcome and safe in the city? And President Trump, you threatened to cut off federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad. And we just, we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say that, subject to what policies are being set. We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, we may disagree how we get there. The rent coming down, I think one of the things I really gleaned very much today, he'd like to see him come down, ideally, by building a lot of additional housing.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read the newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that. But I heard him say it today.
I thought about this earlier. I almost guarantee that was one of the talking points. Because, Mr. President, the media has been unfair to me and my record and what do I want to accomplish, right? But it's like they obviously have been unfair to you as well, sir. Like that would glaze Trump so fucking hard.
I don't think he would do that.
Yeah, I don't think he would say something he doesn't believe is untrue. But like connecting, they're like both of them to be like the media is sometimes unfair with us, right? All of a sudden Trump's like, you're so right, Zohran. Oh wow.
I don't think he actually backed down on a single position in private or in public because he's trying. I think Trump would respect him less if he thinks he's up to him.
Oh, yeah, I'm being a little ostentatious here. Like he's certainly not going in there and just gleefully glazing the man to
There's no
make him.
shot.
Yeah, he's not faking it. Like it's like that's what I'm saying. I think he's so good at this that everything he does feels so kind and authentic, right? That Trump was like, what a nice guy.
He's a nice young man.
He's a nice
He's
young
handsome.
man. He's a nice, handsome young man, straight out of Central Casting. He obviously cares about the
He's
people,
tall.
and I care about the people too. Wow.
He doesn't care about the people.
I know, but he likes to think he does.
He likes to pretend like he does.
It's a very positive step. No, I don't expect. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great. Look, I love New York City. It's where I come from. I spent a lot of years there.
Wow.
Now I'm right here. We took a big setback with the mayor that we had, Dave de Blasio. I thought it was a tremendous setback for the city. I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great.
Mr. President,
Okay, how about you? Go ahead, please.
You're a billionaire. You have a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think
Dude,
he's.
I
want him to
think
do
we're
a great
back to
job.
property
And
there.
we're helping
I'm
him
ready
do
to
a
work
great
with
job.
Van
You know, he may have
Bay.
different views,
I'm moving bad guys.
but in many ways,
Yeah, I'm done. Maybe I'll
we were
retire
discussing
if
when
you
Bernie
were.
Sanders was out of the race. I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea. Because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on. Tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders.
This is breaking
They
news
cut it.
from
They
Channel
cut it.
7
Why would they
Eyewitness
cut
News.
that part?
And
Because
this
he's
is
sitting there
Eyewitness
glazing
News
Bernie
first and full.
Sanders,
President
dude.
Trump,
Like-
Zohran Mamdani, now answering reporters' questions after
But they
wrapping up a
said it.
high-stakes
Why?
meeting.
Yeah, it's a New York affiliate of a local channel in New York City.
What's that one organization that owns like every local news?
Sinclair.
Yeah,
There's like
Sinclair Broadcasting.
There's 2 or 3 syndicated national. Do all that.
Trump cucks to Zohran. That's how Klinsky's wife. And Two Brutes, is she talking about it? Go back up?
Yeah, we kind of beat. We kind of. She's talking about Charlie Kirk still. That's like her main thing. She hypes on all day.
Talking about.
Yeah, she's kind of out there. Honestly, she's only got a couple things left to talk about. But yeah, that's basically our Zohran take. I mean, what a great day for America at the very least, right? This guy we consider far right and far left came together, had a very productive meeting, tried to accomplish a lot for the American people. There's a sense of optimism in the air. I'm inspired.
Actually?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
I don't think it's anything. I think it's just a good political posture.
I mean, it's certainly PR for both of them, right? Zoran's not going to have the administration completely fucking him and trying to remove federal funding from New York City right off the rip. Trump gets to have somebody be nice to him in the Oval Office after having the worst week of his presidency.
Seems like he's looking for anybody who's not an enemy at the moment.
Yeah, he's like, he came in, we didn't talk about anything, nothing was about Epstein files. He goes,
He's the only guy not talking to me about Epstein.
Yeah, he's the only guy that wanted to meet with me this week and not talk about
something other than
the Epstein files. He's a nice guy. So, anyways, what a unique and interesting moment in political history, and I'm here for it. I enjoyed talking about it. Hopefully, everybody had a happy Friday. You can go out there, do great things, and spend some time with those you love. Show them Louie. Pull a little doggy up. Bye, Louie.
Bye.
Louie says bye.